So you've just started leveling a new character in Elder Scrolls Online, and you're excited to begin your epic adventures into the lands of Tamriel. But you don't know what you're doing. There's a lot going on in the game, and you may be feeling a bit overwhelmed. But don't worry, I'm here to tell you guys that there's no right or wrong way to play the game. You can do whatever you want, or go wherever you please, and you're going to have a great experience while you're doing it. Saying that, here are some easy tips that I have for you guys while you're leveling. It's going to save you a bunch of time and gold. And it's so easy and convenient that you don't even have to go out your way to do it. If you find this video helpful in any way, let me know by leaving a like and a comment down below. Let's get into the video. So the first tip is that you're going to want at least one ability from all your class skill lines on your bar at any given time, because you need them on your bars to actually be leveling them. If you don't level your class skill lines, you're going to be missing out on a lot of abilities and passives that will make your character a lot stronger. Same thing applies to armor. You're going to want to be having one of each armor type, that being light, medium, and heavy, so you get access to all the juicy passives from each skill line. You never know what skills and passives you're going to want to be using for your character's future builds, so just unlock them while you're leveling. So there's two guilds in the game called the Mages Guild and the Fighters Guild. You're going to want to be joining them pretty much as soon as you can, because you're going to be doing stuff while you're leveling, and you're not even going to realize you're leveling them up. The Mages Guild look like this on the minimap, and they can be found in the cities Vokkelgard, Glenumbra, and Davin's Watch. Just go in there, talk to the person at the front, talk to them for a bit, and then they'll eventually let you into the guild. Then you'll get access to the skill lines. One thing to note though is you can join the Mages Guild by going to any of the cities that are listed, but with the Fighters Guild, you have to go to the one that's part of your faction. So the Mages Guild is leveled by reading these lore books that you can find in the world, and then the Fighters Guild is leveled by killing stuff like Daedra and other players. When the time comes that you want to power level these skill lines, you're going to have less to do, because you're going to have less to be traveling around to find these lore books, and like less mobs that you have to grind to get them up. Basically, if you want to make sure you're not missing out on any of the lore books in the world that like maybe you're close to them and you just missed them, you can download an add-on called lore books. It's going to show you where all the lore books are in the world for you to read, and then once you read them, they disappear from the map. So that's a pretty good way of tracking where all the lore books are. Listen, I know how much we love hoarding our gold because it makes us feel rich. I do it as well, but the reality is gold isn't really that needed right now, and you're just going to get more gold from just playing the game. This is why I'd focus my gold on just buying more bag space. Like whenever you can, just buy more bag space, because it's going to stop you from having to slow down your adventures to clear out your bags, and you can just keep like taking more stuff. And then them points when you have to clear out your bags, they're going to be fewer and further between, which is kind of what you want. You don't want to be slowing down while you're adventuring, right? You want to keep it smooth and a nice, fun experience. I mean, who enjoys clearing out the bag space, right? So you buy bag space from pack merchants. They look like this on the minimap. You can upgrade them all the way from base 60 all the way to 140 from buying from these pack merchants. Here's the prices for every single level of the bag upgrades, and you can see they ramp up pretty quickly, so you're gonna just want to be spending the gold to get this as soon as you can, pretty much. However, you're gonna want to have at least 250 gold at any given time, and that is because of the next tip. The way the mount system in ESO works is that you can upgrade the mount speed to an increased 60%, the sprint stamina of your mount up to increase 60%, and get 60 extra slots of bag space. So each upgrade costs 250 gold, but you can only upgrade every 20 hours for 1% of what you're upgrading.
You serious?
I'm being absolutely serious. That is how the riding system works in ESO. Yeah, it's pretty bad. As hilariously awful as this system is, unless you want to be spending real money, we kind of gotta work with what we got. So the sooner you start upgrading, the sooner you'll actually start benefiting from using your mount. There are loads of cool professions in ESO for you to do. You may be interested in all of them, or you may be interested in none of them, but it will become very apparent that you need to max out 2 of them. These 2 professions are alchemy and provisioning. The reason these professions are so important is because when you consume food and potions, they give your character a huge stat buff, and you have passives in these 2 crafting skill lines that let these buffs last a bit longer. So this is really important for keeping your character's stats up during fights, for example. Power leveling these two skill lines is very easy, but it does cost gold because you have to buy the ingredients from like guild traders. So why not just collect like half the ingredients while you're leveling and save yourself a decent amount of gold at endgame? If you have ESO plus, then I would just recommend that you just collect every single thing that you can possibly get your hands on. But if you don't, this could be a little bit of an issue because your bags are just going to fill up like straight away, and you're going to have that issue where you're going to have headaches from trying to sort your bags out. In this case, I would still collect every single alchemy ingredient that you find, but I would only focus on collecting these provisioning ingredients while you're leveling. This is because they're the only ingredients that will be needed for when you're power leveling, because they make the recipes that are used for power leveling. Whereas with alchemy, the only thing that matters in terms of how much XP you're going to get from making potions is the level of the solvent. So that's why I'd still collect all of the alchemy ingredients and just collect those specified provisioning ones. So these things on your map are boons and way shrines. Please just go up to them, make sure they get like whited out so they're marked as discovered. Trust me, you will thank me later. The reason you're going to want to have these discovered is because there's so many boons and way shrines all the way through Tamriel, and boons give you permanent stat increases when you interact with them. But each different boon gives a certain buff. So here's the name of each boon and what passive they give you. You can teleport to way shrines, and obviously the reason that you want these unlocked is so that you can teleport to as many places in Tamriel as you want. So just unlock these while you're leveling. It saves a whole lot of time having to like go to ones that are far away from your destination than having to go there by foot. Another thing you're going to want to interact with are these things called sky shards. You would have seen one if you played the tutorial. They are very important because if you collect 3 of these, you get a skill point. And the aim of the game for when you're leveling is you want to unlock as many abilities as you can, and you want to get as many skill points as you can. So you're going to want to be collecting a lot of these. You can find them in these things called delves. They're guaranteed to have sky shards in them, and they look like this on the minimap. Go explore them, you'll find a sky shard. So whatever you're doing in ESO, you're bound to get your hands on a lot of weapons and armor. And a lot of these armors are going to have these things called traits on them. When you research traits on specific gear, it means you can create that specific gear with that trait. So if you want to make your own armor, you can add that trait to it. It's also useful for when you get a drop of like a rare item in late game and you don't like the trait on it and you want to change it. You can do that later on if you have the trait researched for that piece of gear. You can see which gear has traits that you haven't researched yet because they have like a little magnifying glass next to them in the inventory. Traits can also be researched on jewelry. Even if you're not planning on doing any jewelry crafting, still do research it, because if you get like a bit of accessories later, like a ring or a necklace that you like, but you don't like the trait on it and you want to change it, if you have it researched, you can still change it later on. You may be thinking that with all the gear you need to research all these traits, you're going to have to keep them in your inventory and then your inventory is just going to be full. But luckily you can just keep it in your bank and then research directly from there. A good rule of thumb is to put all your gear into your bank, then go to your crafting tables and make sure your research slots are all taken up. Then deconstruct anything that doesn't have the magnifying glass next to it and keep everything that does. The reason you're going to want to be deconstructing your gear is because it levels up your skill lines, and with that leveled up you can put points into more research slots, so you could be researching up to 3 things at any given time, which will hugely increase the time it takes to research all of the traits. Once you get level 10, you get access to battlegrounds and dungeons, and you get bonus XP from these activities by either completing a dungeon or coming at least second in a PvP game. Once a day, the bonus XP that you're going to get from this is going to be way higher, and the quality of the rewards that you get is going to be higher too. So it's really worth just doing it once a day for the battlegrounds and dungeons. One thing to note is that you're going to be getting these crown experience scrolls while you're leveling through either level rewards or daily rewards. They basically just boost the amount of XP that you get from all sources for a certain amount of time when you consume it. Hold on to those. I'd say the best way to use your scrolls is to wait until you have both daily bonuses available to you. Then I start with PvP because it's hard to predict if you're going to win it or not and actually get the bonus. Then when it looks like you're going to win or at least come second, then I consume it. And once you're done with that, you get your bonus, go straight into a dungeon, complete that. You're going to get a huge amount of XP for not really doing a lot, just a dungeon and a PvP match pretty much. That's all the tips I have for you today, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully this video helped you in some way. Subscribe if you want more content, and apart from that, just go out there and have a great time playing.